I'd like to start the regular board meeting of the Ponderosa Pines Water Company. We're going to do it first and then get that over with before we start with our Ponderosa Pines Property Owners Association. So there's going to be a little bit of a shift of agenda. We do have two guest speakers here. We'd like to have them give their guest speech, and then they can leave and we can continue on with our meetings. So I hope that's okay. I'm glad to see all the people here. This is great. It looks like we're probably going to need. Can everybody hear me back there?
Not really.
Not very well.
Okay, I'll try to speak a little louder then. I've never been accused of having a small voice. So right now I'd like to call this meeting to order. The directors present are Julie, Gerald, myself, Danelle, and Sue. So we do have a quorum. It looks like we have approximately 50 members here, which is absolutely great. I'd love to see it. I wish we'd have this on almost all the meetings. But first of all, what I said, I'd like to change the schedule a little bit. We have to have a presentation from one of our Eagle Scout candidates that's in our area, and we'd like to hear from hear about the presentation. Linnell, would you like to introduce him?
This is Ethan Jones. He's one of my current life scouts, and he's going to talk to you about a possible Eagle project that you'd like to do in Ponderosa Pines.
Turn around.
Turn around. Up face.
Turn around.
Wherever you're coming from. Hi.
Hi, my name is Ethan. I'm a Boy Scout in Troop 36.
Speak up.
I'd like to ask permission to put a little free library in Ponderosa Pines. The library would be a roughly 2x2 foot structure where anyone can donate or take books. I'd like to put the library by the mailboxes so it can be easily accessible. I'll be raising money for materials and constructing it as my Eagle service project. I have to finish Eagle project by June, so I have to finish this project by then. I have pictures. Yeah, so that's those are some libraries that other people build. I'm probably not gonna have like a glass door on it. But that's should be approximately what it is.
Everybody see that?
We just pass it around.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What would you like us to help you with? Or how can we help you?
I don't. Oh, yeah, permission.
Well, I just have a couple questions. One is the size.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a significant population, and if we're going to be using that, I'm wondering if 2x2 is large enough. It seems to me like it might need to be a little bit larger, so why don't you give that some thought?
All right.
The other one is, unless it's definitely protected, we need to make sure that it's watertight, so that it's free from the elements. And if that means a rubber seal or something around it, we need to make sure that those, whatever books are in there are watertight. So my two concerns were, is it big enough? Because I anticipate a lot of use. I mean, I'm going to give you a bunch of books away. And also, is it watertight? Those are two of my concerns.
So Ethan, I was a scout myself. The first thing you have to do is when you guys see anyone else is, yeah, could you contribute some money to help me do my project? And so I would like to see if we're going to authorize him to do it. Maybe the association give him $50 towards his cost of material if he's going to be doing something for us.
Or we could ask for donations.
Or ask him.
Let's see what it looks like,
Yeah.
and then.
Well, if you give him some money, if he has to buy materials, you give him some money up front to do it. Let him draw it out and bring us a drawing of what it is that he's planning, and then we would contribute. So you got to learn to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Okay, so the reason he's not asking is because this is just a very preliminary permission. He now has to write It's about a 7-page proposal, and this proposal has to go before a district legal board and be approved. And at that point, then he can start to actually work on his project, ask for donations, and that kind of thing, so.
So at least he knows we're of the mind of giving him something.
No, I think it's a
Good
great
call.
idea.
I think it's a great project, and I'll make a motion to accept this project and
Okay,
I'll
give
second it.
permission.
Give permission, yes.
All say aye.
Aye.
Go for it.
All right.
Good job.
Don't mind at all.
You can at least say anytime you want to. Stay and listen. The next guest speaker we have for us tonight is Rex Lesueur from Bancorp, and he wants to talk to us a little bit about some insurance questions and insurance topics. Rex?
Thank you, members of the board, for inviting me to talk about insurance. I am actually astounded that there's that many people here to talk to. By the way,
Talk
about it later. Freudian slip there. I, by the way, am a member of the Eagle Scout class of 1973, and whatever the board decides to donate to this project, I will match.
All right.
It's in the minutes and I'm on tape. I've done that in front of the camera. I'm also the president of the local Toastmasters Club, which meets every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock at Gordy's, and I'd like to invite all of you to come down and practice your public speaking by joining our Toastmasters Club. One of the problems of being a Toastmaster is we like to talk. Now, I'm going to try not to be the insurance agent at the opera, okay? Because I can do that. I'll try to entertain and try to keep it moving because they've only given me a few minutes to talk. One of the big issues that they wanted me to talk about today was the directors and officers liability insurance. The association has had directors and officers liability insurance with us for many years. The question, well, let me tell you what directors and officers liability does. If a individual or an organization has a dispute with members of the board or officers of the corporation, then sometimes what happens is they file a lawsuit against them. This is not for bodily injury or property damage, which is what most of you think about when you're buying insurance, liability insurance. If you have an auto policy, the liability part of it, if you hit somebody with your car, damage their car or injure them, that's bodily injury or property damage. When we're talking about directors and officers liability, we're talking about misfeasance and malfeasance. Two big words I learned one day. Basically what that is that someone is accusing the board of not managing the affairs of the association or the organization properly. Now these lawsuits are common in big corporations. Fortune 500 companies have $100 million, $200 million limits on their policies, maybe more, because there's always somebody upset with the way they're running the company for any number of reasons. Fortunately, nonprofit organizations don't have the same issues. So what we have is $1 million policy from a company called US Liability. It has a $2,500 deductible. I'll put my glasses on to read this. I'm sorry, it's $1,000 deductible. It covers any act that the board has done or any member of the board has done since this policy went into effect about 15 years ago. So that means that if there are people that aren't sitting here today that get sued by someone in the association or some organization, those members are going to be covered even back as long as the policy was in force. One of the primary questions that we had for tonight about the directors and officers liability insurance is, who else does it cover besides directors and officers? And the answer is just about anybody that's doing work for the association. If we have a committee, let's say there's a subcommittee that is going to be set up to investigate any number of things. Those people in a subcommittee would be part of the, would be covered by the directors and officers. Employees, if you had an employee who wasn't a director or an officer, which isn't something that usually happens in small organizations, they would also be covered. Does that answer the primary question I was asked about the directors and officers liability insurance?
So let me make sure I heard this correctly.
Okay.
The D&O insurance would cover somebody that we contracted out to do a job for us.
No, that would not cover that.
Okay.
No, it would cover anybody that sat at this table,
Right.
now and in the past,
Okay.
and as long as the policy's in force in the future. So when if you leave and someone replaces them, that person is covered automatically. I don't have to tell the insurance company, I don't have to write, we're not always updating them as to who the board members are. Insurance companies don't vet you, they just accept you.
So it would cover an officer who's not necessarily on the board, but an officer of the corporation or the association.
Even if they're getting paid.
Even if they're getting paid, it doesn't have to work, there's no question about income here, it's volunteers and or paid members.
Yeah, you would not have to necessarily even be on the board, but a committee of the board,
Yeah,
right? Right.
and let's say there was a committee to study increasing the number of woodpeckers in the place, you know, whatever,
Yeah, okay.
bird life. And so that committee does something that somebody doesn't like, and they end up, you know, somebody writes a demand letter to the board demanding that they stop or will sue you. That's when we turn something like that.
What about a member of the community that is gonna assist with member, like assistant treasurer,
Volunteer?
volunteer?
Yeah,
Or paid.
or paid. If an example would be, a lot of nonprofits, many of them, have executive directors. That people who run the place, and they have employees and doing things. And yeah, your kind of nonprofit is very, very common. HOAs don't always have paid executive directors, but it's not uncommon. I mean, go down south or go to bigger communities where there's golf courses and stuff, and it's all part of the HOA's responsibility. Oh yeah, they got employees all over the place.
That answers it for me?
Does that cover non-members that would help for volunteers also?
Yeah, I'll give you the wording, okay? And I'll leave this with you guys, I've highlighted it. So it's all about who is insured. Individual insurers means persons who are now or shall be directors, trustees, officers, employees, or committee members of the organization, including their estates, their heirs, their legal representatives, or assigns in the event of their death or incapacity. The word insured means organization or the insured individuals. So basically, that's pretty broad. Yes, sir.
I noticed you didn't read volunteer on that list.
Yeah, he did.
Yes, he did.
No, this does not say volunteer, but it doesn't have to be. It's a volunteer board. Everybody's a volunteer. So if we're not covering volunteers, we're not covering anybody.
You volunteer employees?
There is no such thing as a volunteer employee.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned a $2,500 deductible.
Oh, so it's 1,000. I was wrong. It's 1,000.
What's 1,000? Okay.
Most of the time
So that
it's
$1,000 is probably paid somewhere out of the association's fund. Is that not correct?
If there's a claim, yes.
Yeah, okay. And so then I would also imagine that there's a breach of fiduciary duty by a board member, then there'd be a cause of action back against that board member to replenish the $1,000 that was spent.
Could be unless I've never heard of that. Most of the time, the bylaws written to reimburse the.
Yeah, but if it's a willful act or it's outside their fiduciary duties, there's an obligation to corporate law to do it. So I think the same thing would apply.
That would probably only apply in the event that they were found negligent.
That's always the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and the insurance company would be whether or not they were found negligent in their operation and did something wrong. I'll tell you, the premium for this is $1,200 a year. When we're talking about small nonprofit directors and officers liability insurance, we in the insurance business have something called a ratio. It's called there's a loss ratio. Loss ratio is built of two different things: the amount of money the company pays to defend the insured and the amount of money they pay out in indemnity. When it comes to this kind of insurance, 90% of the money that they bring in that goes out to claims goes out for defense. Indemnity is the very, very smallest part of it because they almost never lose. The boards almost never, ever lose. Okay? But that doesn't keep anybody from suing them and causing a kerfuffle that requires the board to respond and defend themselves.
So these employees, they're covered, or the board, or a volunteer, whatever, they're covered as long as they're working for the association or volunteering for the association, or they're on a committee.
If they get sued for
Yes.
misfeasance and malfeasance as part of the operations of the deal. Now,
Okay.
if we're going into other areas where we're talking about general liability, or auto liability, that's a different story. When it comes to employees.
Okay. It's not under D&O.
Well,
That
yeah,
would be separate.
That would be separate.
Okay, thank you.
You have a question? Okay, all right. All right, that took 10 minutes. You want, that's fine. Any other questions? All right, other policies you guys have? You have a package policy from Liberty Mutual. It covers your general liability. The general liability is the part of the policy where we cover you for your bodily injury or property damages arising from your premises or your operations. And that's pretty much what general liability is. It covers you. We have $1 million limit on that. We do have an excess policy over that for an extra $1 million, giving you $2 million. So if an employee or a volunteer or someone who's operating a piece of equipment or somehow managed to injure someone bodily, hurt them or damage their property, the insurance would respond for up to $2 million on that. We have the buildings insured. And we have, in order, I'm not going to go into the buildings and each of the buildings. We have the vehicles insured, also for $1 million limit. We have a list of drivers here. We also have a commercial crime part to this policy, which covers the board members and or any volunteer who is handling the money for you guys if they were to abscond with your funds. It does not cover the bookkeeper. The bookkeeper needs to have their own. Okay, and you need to document that they have some kind of bond or coverage to insure for you guys. It also does cover the equipment. We've got a grader, a tractor, a snow plow, a homemade roller, and some other things on the policy.
And are deductibles on that for $1,000?
There is no deductible on the general liability. The deductible is 0 on that. The deductible on the autos are $500. The deductible on the business property, I think, is also $500, maybe $1,000. Let me look it up. It's $1,000 on property. And
So that would
$500 on
include like a building?
Yeah.
Okay, but the
building it-
vehicles are like 500?
Pardon?
The vehicles
They're
are
500.
500?
Right.
And would that include like the grader and the heavy equipment?
The grader and the heavy equipment have a different deductible.
Okay.
It would be, and it's kind of thing is if you take your grader and drive it into your building, you'll have 2 deductibles.
Okay. I think we've done that.
Have we done that? Okay.
I think we have.
I think it's $1,000. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here real fast, but I think it's $1,000, which would be a typical deductible. An operation this size, literally, when, in the insurance industry, as we do the insurance right now, most commercial insurance deductibles are $1,000. That's just what it is.
So if the grader was going down the road, grading and hit a stump, broke the blade off of the circle, would that be covered?
Yes, it would. If the grader was going down the road and. Grading. Grading, yeah. Well, no, if someone just was taking it out for a spin and you ran over a stump and broke it.
So is this the kind of insurance that we would use it and lose it?
Yeah.
Anytime.
With a claim.
Anytime you have a situation where you have a customer, insurance companies, okay, we're talking about the people that live in the cubicles in the big cities and make these decisions. We call them cubicle dwellers. They're good people, nice people. If they see a preponderance of claims coming from one organization over and over again, they're going to say, this is a loser, we want off. And they will non-renew. This happens.
I understand that part of it.
But if we have one, then.
One for,
Yeah,
No, you guys
5 years.
make
is
claims.
fine.
we've had several that we paid for that wasn't turned in, that was way over $1,000. I was just wondering.
That's your choice. I mean,
Right.
we turned in, and there's of course, there's always that conversation every time I have you have a $1,500 claim on a piece of equipment. You say to yourself, we got $1,000 deductible. To collect $500, do we go through all the process of getting an insurance company involved, getting them out there, talk about depreciation, talk about this, spending board time, blah, blah, on and on and on and on. It can be a lot. Okay, since my time is running short,
Running short. We've got a lot to do tonight.
and I will then let you know that we do have workers' comp. Workers' comp is safe. They are a nice company. It's a minimum premium because you don't have that many employees. We do also have an accident policy, which is kind of neat. What an accident policy is, it's basically a little policy that covers your volunteers. So if everybody's out doing a spring cleanup along the roads or cleaning up the common area, even using chainsaws and so on, if someone were to cut themselves with a chainsaw, there's a $15,000 policy that will chip in to, pay your deductible from your other health insurance if you have any. If you don't, then it basically is primary. So that's where we're at. One thing I do want to mention is you do have a very low limit on employment-related practices. There was an opportunity to increase that several years ago, and it was declined. We had an issue, we turned it in, it was resolved. I've tried to get a higher limit, and because we've had an issue so recent, I've been unable to find higher limits for employment-related practices. Employment-related practices is the kind of insurance that pays when an disgruntled employee sues for failure to promote, failure to hire, failure to do just about anything that someone might think a boss should do, or maybe even sexual harassment, those kind of things. So we have a $10,000 limit on that, and that is it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rex.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving to the
Thank you,
next,
Rex.
Thank you. Good to see you.
next order of business is the minute approval. December, water company, December.
All right, there was a correction to the minutes from December 18th for the water company. Sent those out. You have a copy of them that's highlighted on your minutes. So if you are inclined to approve the change, what happened is the comment that was stated by the member was not in full. It dropped off. So we corrected that to be a more accurate statement.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from December 18th? Second? Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved.
The next minutes are from Thursday, regular Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, February 26th. Hopefully you've had a chance to look over the minutes. If not, take a moment and then let me know if there's any changes, corrections, or additions. I make a motion approve the minutes for February 26th.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, second.
Any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes of February 26, Ponderosa Pines Water Company, regular board meeting are approved. Treasurer's report.
Okay, I have a few things to cover tonight. We have received and filed our taxes for the water company. There are no taxes due.
This is federal, right?
This is federal, yes. And so, you each have a copy of those in your packet. So that is taken care of. Then, going back to the December 31st year-end report, because once the CPA and the bookkeeper finish with the year-end taxes and they make all the final adjustments to the financials, now we can give a final approval on the December 31st, 2014 balance sheet and profit and loss statements. You have a copy of those in your packet as well. So I would make a motion that the board approves the financials for December 31st, 2014. Second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Financials for December 31st, 2014 are approved.
So I will get those posted out to the membership.
Back here, we need it. Oh, hold it.
That has, the next thing is January the 31st. It has held up our approval of the January financials because of the adjustments that are made. You all received a copy of the January 31st financials. Do you have any questions or comments? If not, I will ask for a motion to approve the January 31st, 2015 financials.
Do I hear a second? Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The January 31st, 2015 financial report is approved.
I'll get those posted as well. Then that takes us to the preliminary financial report as of February 28th, 2015. There will be a small change to this. When the bookkeeper put these together, she did not have the complete insurance breakdown. She has received those, so there will be an update to this, but I will read the financials for February 28th. Petty cash, $50. U.S. Bank checking reserves, $100. U.S. Bank money market reserves, $100,791.15. Washington Federal checking operations is $78,484.60. Washington Federal money market reserves is $165,658.78 for a total of $345,084.53. The outstanding accounts receivable as of February 28th was $41,162.51. The operations expenses for February were total expenditures at $7,554.09. We do not have a reserve at this time. So there is no report for the reserve, we only have operating. There will be, we've been speaking with the CPA on adjusting our report slightly, and we met with him early in March, and I met with him again yesterday to receive the tax reports. We will receive a balance sheet, we will receive a profit and loss or an income statement, and then we will receive, that's a year-to-date, and we will also receive one that is by month if the board wishes to receive a monthly. So you'll see the breakdown for each of the months as we go through the year by budget. So I just need to get back with, him and the bookkeeper so that they know what reports to produce for
Okay,
us.
so I'd like to see the year-to-date first budget, so we can track how close we're coming towards our budget numbers on these categories.
And our budget is broken down by month now.
Yes.
So they've spread the costs out over every month, which is a little different than what's been done in the past.
Right.
So hopefully it'll be a better
But
view.
I think those other two columns on the end will help us a lot to monitor where we are on our performance year-to-date budget.
Right. The little difference between what we've been doing, and we're trying to stay with more standard QuickBooks reports. It does limit the type of reports that you can see, but we feel it's safer and better, less time for the bookkeeper. There is a risk when you export data from QuickBooks into Excel, you could change something or delete something, so we don't want that to happen. So we're gonna stay with QuickBooks, but it does limit how QuickBooks provides us the information. So the reports going forward will have a over budget dollar and it'll have a percent of budget dollar. So it'll be a little different than what we're used to. So just make the board aware of that and the members, because they will be seeing these reports. I will not ask for approval at this time, so please take a look at the financials. Let me know if you have any questions.
Okay.
And then we will get back to the bookkeeper and have her finalize for approval.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sue. Next order of business is the manager's report.
He was here
I
somewhere.
saw you.
I saw him.
Bill.
Oh, Bill.
There he is. Bill Peachy, where are you?
Nothing to report at this time.
Nothing to report this time. Business as usual.
Business as usual.
How was your conference that you attended in Sun River?
Oh, that was the small water training seminar by, anyways, it was at Sun
OAWU.
River. 3 of us attended. Can't think of the name of the company. We went there on the 2nd, did the training there. About it.
Do we have any documentation on the 3 that went?
We got a class certification.
That counts. Okay.
I can get you that if you want it.
Yeah, I would like to have
I'd
a
say it might be
copy of
good,
it.
good for our records.
Okay.
Okay, moving along to unfinished business. Wanted to bring up the reserve study update. Last night, we received from our reserve study organization that's doing our reserve study, the first draft of the reserve study. Again, I got it last night. I think I distributed it to the board. I haven't even opened it yet. So I think it was very good that they did it within the time frame that they said they were gonna do. Now it's gonna be up to us to review it and take a look at what kind of changes, what kind of acceptance we wanna have on that. I would suggest that from a board that we potentially for the water company that we schedule a special meeting in April, the first half of April, so that we can have it directed solely for the discussions and review of the reserve study for the water company. Anybody have a suggested date?
When did you wanna do it?
Sometime in April.
Can you check my calendar?
I'm looking at mine right now. Tax day. April 15th. On my calendar. April 8th. Wednesday, April 8th. What you got, what do you got to, Gerald? Wednesday, April 8th.
As far as I know, I'm okay.
Afternoon.
I won't know for sure till I go home and check
Okay.
that calendar.
Let's
but-
tentatively schedule an afternoon Wednesday of April 8th. And the goal of that would be, and Jen and Dale try to get here, can.
Should we have a second day just as a backup in case it's not available?
Let's just focus on one day right now, and we'll
What
figure it out.
time, what time are we looking at? would it be easier for Gerald to keep it closer to like a weekend, like on a Monday or a Friday, or
Yeah.
instead of the middle of the week?
Eighth, I have absolutely nothing.
Oh, did he pick the
He
eighth?
picked the 8th.
Okay, okay, okay.
Let's try to do it in the afternoon. And again, the objective of that is a workshop to review and discuss the water company reserve study update that Jason just submitted to us. So I ask everybody, please come prepared. With that, I will also have a copy of the water company master plan that we approved a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we don't have to print out that.
No, we've already done that.
Yeah.
68 pages. Okay. That was the unfinished business, new business. Sue, you had put something down
Yeah,
on
we
new
just
business?
received in the mail, our annual 2014 annual water report. So, you have a copy of it, and typically what we do is we send this out with our annual meeting notice as a bulk. So, just make the board aware and, that we have received it, and it's a requirement that we submit it. There's a form that has to go back to the state with a copy of this, so that we are on record of complying with this requirement.
Okay. Has Bill seen it?
No, not yet, because I just got it in the mail.
Okay. Make sure that Bill sees it. And Bill, can you supply us if there's any comments or things on it, since you're the water manager?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, running through concerns of the board. 2 things up here were Sun River Conference and upcoming events.
Okay, I also attended one of the classes at the Sun River Conference. They offered the 2 free classes with small water. And the one I attended was a overview of key management areas. And it was a very interesting, many water districts and companies from around the state attended, so it was an opportunity to hear from all of them the issues that they're going through, and we all have the same issues. But one of the things I did pick up, the key point I picked up out of that was, as a private water company, we are not eligible for as many grants as the public utilities are, unfortunately. And they base it, a lot of them, on the income level. So there's ranges for low to moderate income level, and a lot of times when a group goes to submit, because of the statistics or the level of it, throws us out. So there are some there that are on the table. It's worth trying, but not very favorable for us to acquire a lot of money in that direction to help in the event that we needed to do that. So that was the biggest take from whatever from that meeting.
Okay.
And I did give Bill a book so that he had a copy of it as well. So the board is welcome to borrow it and take a look at it and extract whatever they need to from it.
Okay.
Okay.
Upcoming events? April 8th, we're having a meeting. Any more concerns of the board? For the water company, are there any concerns of the members? Yes.
I'm Des, y'all know me. I have a concern with the fire hydrants that have been proposed.
Okay.
I understand that we are looking at putting a number of them in, and my concern is, in order to install the fire hydrants, a line replacement would be required, because the existing 2 to 4 and 6 inch pipelines would need to be upgraded with 6 and 8 inch pipe. Cost of that, is this, and the feasibility, is this something that you have got knowledge about yet, or are we there yet, or what?
Yes, if you look at the water master plan,
Yes.
you'll see that there is the fire hydrant replacement in there, and the original plan was to put the original fire hydrant replacements is in stages, okay? And the initial stages are in areas where there are no pipe replacements required.
Okay. All right. I have one more.
Okay, Des? one more.
Okay, I was, I referred to the business registry, and I realized that we renew once a year, and we should update, but, Danelle Emery is still president, and Andrea Benedetto is secretary. Could we update those
I
records?
just signed it, we just got it in the mail,
Cool,
it'll be done.
Okay.
cool.
Any other concerns of the members for the water company?
Lyle Barker, Sewell Pine. I got kind of a concern here. Have you checked with ISO to see how this is gonna change our rate as far as fire insurance?
Yes, I have. If we can, I don't know about your place, talking to my insurance agent, my property, and I live at 14950 Burrow.
Yep.
It will affect me if we go to fire hydrants within 1,000 feet, which is an ISO rating 4. It will lower my fire insurance on my house about $90 per 100,000 valuation.
Okay, you might well check, because I'm a retired fire chief.
Right?
And that is not the way they're doing, ISO is doing it anymore. They are taking the number of people that respond to a call, and they do it that way. It used to be, it depended on your equipment and everything. It is not that way anymore. So you better check and make darn certain.
Sure, and that's a very good point. I think that's something that we'll have the board look at, Lyle, and I'm glad you brought that up because my understanding, the ISO, a lot of it just depends also on what insurance company you're at.
That's correct.
And I know, because Gerald and I have had this conversation before about,
You can only quote what my insurance.
you can only quote what his is and.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you
Sure.
from my experience of 18 years on the department, that
Thank you.
that's what it is. And you've got the capabilities right now of tankering and right straight from a hydrant facility. So you might be wasting your money to do that.
And I think we'll have those discussions for sure when we're talking about working on the water company reserve studies and finalizing what's actually in it.
Yeah.
I have one question. I know when
We're
Larry
being,
Tate,
we're being recorded, could you?
Val Russell,
Thanks, Val.
and I know when Larry Taylor was here, when I was the road manager at the time, we were looking to put a fire hydrant in down by the mailboxes. And the cost, we would have to run pipe, and the cost just for the fire hydrant was like $7,000. And we had decided economically to put fire hydrants out here. It was uneconomical when we had a water source that was already developed to fill those tankers and was tested with the fire department. So is that part of your analysis, or is that something you guys have thrown out?
In the work on the reserve study, or the work on the master plan, there was a significantly different cost for the fire hydrants. There was a lot of conversation about the cost of the fire hydrants, and I can't remember the number exactly, but I thought the fire hydrants were in the 1,500. We'll have to look at the master plan, but it wasn't a $7,000 cost for the fire hydrants.
It was what, for this particular one, it was $7,000
Yeah.
per hydrant.
You sound like one of the
Right.
I think he's saying, it's telling you what it's gonna cost to get it in the ground by the time we get the thrust box and everything around
Yeah.
it, and valves.
Right.
That was correct.
Well, the estimate we've got in the master plan right now is fire hydrants addition 8, 3,500 per.
Yeah, and we were over 7,000 to try to put one in.
Okay. Any other?
Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Bill, and correct me if I'm wrong. How many hydrants can you use at once? One or two at a time? What we have now, you wouldn't be able to flow more than two. Okay. Pump size, depends where you're pulling to, as far as line size. If you're up front with 2 or 4 pipe, you're only gonna use one in that area. Yeah, okay. If you're back towards the back with 6-inch pipes, then you'd probably be able to use 2, but with all the pumps running, but that's all you're gonna get.
Is that with the truck pumping or just filling? That's just using the 2-inch blow-offs that are around the streets. If you go to the well, there's an actual spot there where you can fill directly off the well.
Which was tested and approved, and they agreed that that was the way to go out here.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what you folks are doing.
It's all good input.
You're not gonna be able to draft off the hydrants in here.
No, no, and the whole thing of it is you can use it for like ground stuff, that's about it. For the ones that are around here, they're basically blow-offs, they're not hydrants.
That's right.
Okay, you know, and, you know, the stuff I was talking to Bill, we're in a chance of, are in the phase of trying to replace a couple of the 2-inch valves coming off the pipe. Some of those are really in bad shape and starting to leak and such. My problem was I was worried about imploding the pipe if they, you know, try to put a pump
Right.
or something like that, unless you put a restrictor there, when you can go to the well and pump and fill. Actually, Phil, what Larry did is also make a road, a secondary loop that you don't have to back the trucks in. It makes it faster to fill. Not only that, when they come in, they're full. Okay?
Okay.
And 3,000 to 5,000 gallons, and we can fill one of those in 5 minutes.
Okay.
And possibly fill 2 at the same time. So my problem was, if you can't draw more than 1 or 2, you know, and the pump station, you know, well number 2 is in the center kind of the association. And if you truly had to, I think, you know, there's a place that we can, you know, pump directly into the tank off the well on number 1 with that 4-inch coming off on the side. And we can actually fill a truck in the front if we had to.
I got you, Dave, and
Okay.
these are exactly the kinds of points and discussions that we're gonna have on April 8th, as we talk about the reserve study.
You understand what I'm talking about?
I understand what you're talking about.